Good morning, Wargamers. My name is Doug with 2 Plus Tough. We're starting a little early before the actual stream starts. It is now 6:48 in the morning here. I'm going to try and keep my voice a little low so my wife doesn't murder me somehow in her sleep. But we're hanging out right before the big preview event, Warhammer Day Preview, that they've been talking about, and I thought as a fun way of starting conversation, it might be cool to just take a look at the actual site when they mentioned what's going to be coming this time. So we'll head over to the shared screen. Forgive me, let me just snarf down some coffee here. All right, so take your Warhammer Day to the next level. We have, see here, we have for Warhammer 40k, Age of Sigmar, Blood Bowl, Warcry, the Horus Heresy, which I, for some reason, mistakenly thought was done, and Underworlds. So I'm excited to see. As far as things that I want, I would love an announcement of a Tyranid codex for 40k, because I have a Tyranid army, and their book is just a little bit confusing, and I've seen the layout for the newer Space Marine stuff, and I like it a lot more. So it would just help me as a new player. I'm not looking for like a power level or a boost or anything like that. Let's see. Give me 1 second, I'm just checking my internet. It says it's having some trouble, but the stream is healthy. Weird. Okay. As far as Warhammer Age of Sigmar, what I'd love to see, oh, and I Blasto just called it, I want to see Khorne. I want to see Khorne because we haven't seen Khorne stuff in so long. I think it's a very forgotten, I don't know, just book entry. So I'm excited to see this. What I always do when it comes to these preview events, I'm going to be super honest with y'all. I go in with absolutely no expectations. Expectations are the death of joy when it comes to these things. Simply because, you know, when you get really excited about your pet project, you understand that, like, you might miss out on something that you were excited about, but it's still somebody else's joy. Somebody else was still excited about something else. So I don't poo-poo things a lot. You're not going to hear any of that from here. Pretty much the only negativity that I offer when it comes to these preview events is if they do that thing that I mention every single time where all they show is like a title and then it just goes away and you're like, you didn't preview anything. That's the only negativity allowed here in this dojo. Let's see, I'm going to move my chat so I can see it just a smidge better. Oh, okay. For some reason it wasn't showing me the names. Hey everybody, you're all here until I popped it out. Yeah, I saw that the stream had a hiccup. I was just checking on it. It says back to excellent health, I think. I don't know what that was, to be honest with you. It might have just been an update going in the background, taking up a lot of bandwidth. But we are pretty much set to go. I'm going to go and show you what the stream's going to look like. So I'll have it like this. Obviously, this is the Twitch channel. I highly recommend you go, buy into it. It's fun, I mean, it's weird to have a Twitch subscription plus Warhammer Plus, but I do it for the fans. And that's about all I can say. Let's see what we got. Good morning. Making Morgan Trip, I'm sorry. I think we talked about that. There's no E. You don't say the E. And it looks like, oh, are we starting? What? Okay, so it doesn't look like they're starting yet, but when... Okay, sorry guys, I don't know what's going on with my internet here. It's went from totally fine to having a moment. Okay. I'm going to keep an eye on it. I apologize for that. So let's see what you guys are hoping for. Other factions have it far worse than Khorne. I would agree, but I mean, when I say I want Khorne to get some love, what I mean is it just hasn't been a faction that's in the story at all. I mean, same thing with Beasts of Chaos. I would honestly take either of them. If I'm truly honest with you, I'm really not picky. Let's see. I'm doing just one last little check before we get into it. It's not telling me what is going on. Let's see. Yeah, I am not sure. Let's see. What's up, my dude? Warcry starter set confirmed because Catacombs has gone on the discount on their web store. You know, for what it's worth, Catacombs really was a truly awesome way to play the game. I actually thoroughly enjoyed Catacomb rules. I've used them 3 times. But the problem was the way that they boxed the set. It was so extremely expensive. It was just a huge pain. You had half the terrain from the original set, and it just didn't have the value that I think they wanted it to. I think if they had put the Catacombs board and like the terrain pieces, just the gateways and that kind of stuff, if they had put it all in a set for $85, I think it would have been a much more successful product. Like, truthfully, I think that was a marketing error rather than a game design one, for sure. A lot of love for Nurgle in the chat. I dig it. Let's see. I don't collect Lizardmen, but hoping one of these silhouettes is a Croxagore. Oh, that's right. Yeah, Croxagore are still like Reagan era models. I like it. Okay. Let's see here. I don't know as a Stormcast player, they definitely need more content. But seriously, they should leave Stormcast alone for a while. I think they've gotten through all of the Stormcast stuff that they previewed, haven't they? So unless it's something, they're pitching for like way out further, like a story arc that would feature them. Maybe the next like campaign thing. That would make sense to have Stormcast in it just as a marketing thing, but I can't think of anything else that's to be announced. Personally, I would love a double event. Okay. My dream is that they would combine Beastmen and Slaves to Darkness into one new book. And it's not going to happen today, but that would be my dream. Let's see. We recommend you set your stream bitrate to 4500. What am I at? Okay. I'm going to try doing the upgrades that they just suggested. Give me just one hot second. I'm going to be off and then right back on. So it shouldn't affect. Hey, okay, we're right back. Okay, sorry about that, guys. I tried basically turning the stream off on my end, adjusting the bitrate, but I didn't actually close the stream on YouTube's end, so we should be good, according to what it told me to do. How about that? Ultracast, then we can have endless hordes of blue Stormcast as well. Ultracast, wouldn't that be Tempest Lords have a dark blue vibe going on? I dig it. I'd love new Nurgle or Chaos Dwarves. Yeah, I don't think they're ready to show Chaos Dwarves yet. I mean, it would be cool. I just think that I'm trying to remember. Oh, here we go. Sorry.
Welcome to this very special Warhammer preview online. It's Warhammer Day.
It's very exciting, Adam. It's Warhammer Day, celebrating Warhammer around the world. Everything cool about Warhammer, gaming,
guys,
painting, anything. And we've got some very cool stuff to show you as well as part of the celebrations.
Yeah, you're not wrong. For about the next 90 minutes or so, give or take, depending on how fast I talk, how many questions you ask, and just how it goes in general, we're going to be showing you some awesome stuff that's coming up for loads of different Warhammer systems. You'll have seen the teasers and things coming out throughout the week, giving hints to some of the things we're going to talk about, and we're going to get down into the bones of it all and get into some Warhammer Day spirit.
Can anyone,
Speaking of Warhammer Day
see
spirit,
and
welcome
hear
to all of
okay?
you. Last time I looked, there were thousands of you in the chat, and it's really lovely to have you all with us. You will notice that we are in a different space. We're in the Rock. Sometimes I get to make bad decisions, like naming rooms, and here we are in our TV studio, coming to live from this location for the first time.
I feel a little bit awkward being in a studio that's literally called The Rock, being a big fan of The Fallen, but I know I didn't get to pick the names, I haven't got to pick them. This could all be a trap to lure me into The Rock.
I mean, if it was, it's a good one. So, of course, we are joined by all of you, thousands of you. It is lovely to have you all with us. We're also joined by Raph, who's over there, like in the meat space.
Raph is one of the coolest human beings on Earth. I met him at Nova.
We've got
I like him
Notley
a
and
lot.
the Moderati in the chat, making sure everything goes all right. But most importantly, all of you. We're in the Rock. Where are you from? I've seen somebody screaming, metaphorically, in the chat, Glasgow already. Bournemouth, Pontefract, the Netherlands, Ohio. This is always my absolute favourite bit when we do these Warhammer previews online, is seeing just where people...
In case you're curious, I cropped that part.
Yeah, it's really nice to see so many people all over the world just excited about Warhammer, excited to see the stuff we've got to show you. I think it's probably fair to say there's a little bit of something for everybody in today's preview.
It's a really good,
mix.
Scattering of some proper Warhammer excitement. And as we looked through it all, so we come in a bit early, we make sure that we know everything that's going to be on here.
Tea, that sort of stuff.
Exactly so, and just get ready. And I was really surprised that the thing I thought was going to be my favourite, something else has pipped it to the post. I think it's, there we go, I could count down our running order. 1, 2, 3, fourth in line might be the thing that is most exciting for me. The people are still going. It's Somerset. I drove through Somerset this very weekend.
I'm going to turn them down for a hot second, but I will turn them back up. Could everyone hear and see them okay before? Like, I just want to make sure it's all dialed in before the actual event starts. If you could just give me a heads up in the chat. Yes, okay, thank you so much. Okay, they're chatting about hobby, just filling time while poor Raph is in the background, probably sweating bullets, chaotically making sure everything's not crashing. But thank you guys so much for joining me this morning, and thank you for hanging out with me while I did my own tech and tuning this morning. As far as things that I'd like, if you're just joining us as these guys begin, they're waffling a bit. Yeah, I mean, they have to, right? They have to be able to vibe and just chat while the tech guys make everything actually work. That's just how that's how any form of stream goes, whether it's a broadcast or not. But what I'm excited for is I want stuff on Tyranids. I want a new vision for what's happening with Warcry, whether it is going to be more like the kill team with bespoke warbands or kind of what their idea is for that. Blood Bowl, I don't have any thoughts. I just like seeing cool models. And Horus Heresy, I don't even know what they would do for that. I mean, I guess they still have Primarchs to release. That's probably fair. Let's see. If there are Ogre Pirates, this will be worth it immediately. Nice. I've heard that. Like, what are they called? Man-eaters? The ones that go out roaming around and that kind of stuff? Yeah. Nurgle stuff for AoS? Yeah. Biofoot's in the chat. Hey, buddy. What's up, man? Your audio is especially crisp today. Well, good, because my voice is shot. I sound like a frog choking on pavement when I wake up in the morning. It's gonna be an NPR kind of morning because I'm trying to keep my voice a little low for like my wife and the neighbors. So it's like, thank you for joining me. Today we're going to be examining all different kinds of hell and back in the world of the 8 points. Okay, well, he's showing off a coffee mug, so I think we're good as far as content goes. We're not missing anything yet. Ogres riding Tyranids. I've seen that. Someone did a conversion of that. They put a, was it a Tyrannifex? They put the Ogre Riders, the pair of Ogre Riders on the back of like one of the mega Carnifex. No, it wasn't a Carnifex. It was bigger than that. But yeah, that kind of thing. It's so cool looking.
let's have a quick look in the chat and see how things are squaring up.
Okay, they're still just hanging out, looking in the chat. That's okay. Once it gets rolling, they snap through things pretty quick. Remember that one time we did this, the live stream, and they were like, check out this amazing new video game, and it was like a chibi version of AOS, and like, even these guys were like, cool, that's it. And they just moved on. They had nothing to say about it. Coffee mugs will be the new AOS army. See, I'm cool with that. I am somebody who, if you give me rules for it, I would do that. If you gave me rules for my house cat, I would put that fluffy MF up on the table and just let him bash my models. I don't care. Oh, man. Where are we at?
Lovely. All right. So, what we have is we've talked about like what.
Okay, they're still just kind of.
We haven't talked much about Warhammer Day. What is
okay, now they're talking about Warhammer Day. Let's
Sure.
listen.
So Warhammer Day is a celebration of all things Warhammer. We try and have one once every year. It's just an opportunity for us to celebrate what we love about Warhammer. Really, so it's a good chance to kind of release some cool miniatures. Talk about some cool stuff.
As if on cue.
Oh, look at that.
Shown
It's like,
the cool
we planned
miniatures.
the whole thing. So this
Nice.
year for Warhammer Day, we have 2 exclusive miniatures. So you've got a Primaris Lieutenant. Of course, we have a Primaris Lieutenant. He with a Storm Shield,
Gotsta.
and he is available from GamesWorkshop.com exclusively. He is a very cool character, miniature pose, and a nice one to lead something like your Blade Guard veterans. I think we were talking before about it fit in really nicely with a bunch of chapters, Black Templars.
I've got my eyes on that one in particular for my Black Templars.
Yep.
I do like a bear, not Ra bear, as in an unhelmeted head, and that will go nicely with my Black Templar.
I'm going to turn them down just a smidge because we've seen these models before. I love this Primaris Lieutenant just because of that shield, he works in a few different units. Because he could be a lieutenant with a storm shield, or he could be one of their like Blade Guard veterans, which is really cool. So I like the fact that there's a sculpt that can work in multiple units. And then for the vampire, I just love vampires. She just looks awesome. And Nasta Malkorian, yeah, dude. We got Wargamer Willie. Hey, from Ontario. Glad to make a live stream. Yeah, dude. Glad to have you. I saw an ogre riding on a scum drake, one of the Cruel Boys monsters. That would be another great mount for them for sure. Making Morgan. Oh, they're just pimping Warhammer Plus. Yeah, it's free for the next 2 weeks if you guys have not caught the fever. I'll be honest with you. I got Warhammer Plus because I wanted to be able to talk about, new content they have running out. Have not watched a single thing. Like, I don't know. I just didn't care for it, It's just there wasn't a lot of content. I was really thinking that they were going to have the Neve Black Talon series like ready to go at launch, and it just wasn't. So it's kind of the only thing I'm riding for or waiting for. It's fine. So, but this is a way for you to check out for yourself, which is cool. The big thing for me is the library of white dwarfs that they have. So I'm thinking of that vampire for Corn Project. I like that. That would be great. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've had 5 episodes of Angels of Death already, and they've been
Someone on their Twitch chat over here put well, not even a free month. I guess you'd have to consume all the content in the 2 weeks. There's just not a lot there. You could easily do that in a week. Lore Masters is good. There's a Zinchi and animation that is really good. The 40k stuff, as a burnt out 40k fan, is meh. Fair. I only saw the free episode and thought the animation was meh. Yeah, I mean, I'm not an official of animation by any stretch, but yeah, it just didn't speak to me. It's fine.
Right, a couple of people are throwing some love out there for Angels of Death, which is good to know. I really enjoyed it.
Let's see. I'm going to turn this back up because I don't know what this is.
There's more Warhammer Day stuff. There is a new special promotion taking place, Eddie? Special Warhammer Day prices.
Yeah, so for Warhammer Day this year, you've got a selection of special prices on a range of different box sets and bundles, and these generally are great ways to get started with different parts of Warhammer. So there's loads of great box sets in there. So there's Underworlds starter sets, there's the Dominion box set for Age of Sigmar, there's a variety of different terrain and scenery bundles. So if you're looking for a good way to dive into a new collection, whether that's a new game or creating a battlefield, there's loads of great ways to jump on there. So if you go to gamesworkshop.com now, you can have a look through all those different
Warhammer Day pricing? Does this mean that Games Workshop has finally discovered the secret marketing hack of discounts? What? That thing that they never do? Oh my god.
Some people are saying, can we get more subtitles on more of the shows on Warhammer Plus? We're definitely going to look into it. If you can imagine, the shows that have the most talking in, such as Masterclass, which is continuous talking, Lore Masters, continuous talking, and Battle Report, continuous talking, subtitling those is an endeavour. It's not like they're scripted in the same way as something like Angels of Death, where you literally have just a script in front of you that you can then turn into subtitles. It's something we're going to look into. I think it would be nice to not only do more subtitles in the English language, but eventually to introduce them in more languages.
Fun
as well.
fact, if you go to Fiverr, you can get someone to do your subtitles pretty cheaply and
Thank
pretty
you for
quickly.
the advice, the feedback, the request, whatever you'd like to call it.
That's
and
all.
yeah, we are in your ballpark, don't worry. Lots of people saying the sorts of things they'd like to see as well.
Okay, they're just talking about Warhammer Plus. I'm not worried about what people want to see there. The animation I enjoyed, the orc voices though. That's interesting. I'll have to listen to that. Oh my god. Okay. Let me give you a little insight into the world of Doug. There's one thing I hate when I go to a concert. You pay your ticket to see the band, and then you walk in, and then for the chorus of every song that you love, instead of singing it, they point the mic out to the crowd. That is exactly what's happening now. They're like, let's take a moment and ask the crowd what you guys are working on. And it's like, I don't care. I didn't wake up at 7 a.m. to know what Bill from Southampton's thinks about like his orc project. I don't care. Show me some cool stuff. Oh man. They're just going to get instantly bot scalped and then resold at markup. Well, luckily, Dominion won't do that simply because everybody has 10,000 boxes of Dominion, so... That guy, you know, right? I'm not paying to listen to other people. That's how I feel. Okay, 2 things I cannot stand in concerts. When they point the mic out to the crowds, because it's like, we're all a drunk bunch of losers. I don't want to hear them sing. But also, I hate encores. Like, straight up, I hate encores so much. You gonna sing? Sing. If you're done, go away. Let me file out of here. I don't know why. I hate when they come out and they look all awkward. They play one more song and then they go away and they come right back out and play one more song. And you're just like, crap or get off the pot, dude. Go home or don't. Anyway, this is the mind of Doug. I'm a grouchy old man when I go to music concerts, by the way. I'm not fun. I got water and coffee. We're good to go. Had a phone call? Nope. They're not, they're still riffing their conversation as they wait for the tech guys to tell them everything's actually working. Oh yeah, working in a bunch of music venues, singers can't talk without someone shouting, "One more song!" Exactly, yeah. That guy, you know, there's a Sisters of Battle episode where the sister stabs a corn cultist. That cultist stabs her. She stabs him again. Oh. Okay.
Let's start with this little video.
Here we go. We got a video. Okay. Well documented.
Terror. Home of the Emperor's Palace. Heart of the Imperium. The brightest light in the galaxy.
This is awesome artwork, by the way.
Sickens me. The hubris, the lies, the oppression. No matter. The shadow approaches. The Star Children shall have their throne.
Genestealer Cults. That's what I'm thinking. Ah, I nailed it. Ooh, okay, that's one of our models from the preview silhouette. So we got Custodes, Genestealer Cults. Yeah, Genestealers on Tarot would be incredible. Ooh, okay, we got some new stuff. Okay, so it's a box set. Hey,
Boom. A fantastic new battle box, Shadow Throne. Eddie, what do we know?
So this is pretty exciting for a whole bunch of reasons. So I think if we talk a little bit about the box set first. So this is a box set which contains Genestealer Cults and Adeptus Custodes and the Sisters of Silence. It's a battle box, so you've got two armies facing off against each other. One of the things that's particularly exciting about this from a narrative perspective is this is set on Holy Terror itself.
There's something rotten going on at the core of the Imperium.
There is. I mean, many would say that that's been the case for a long time, but this is definitely one of the worst thing that's happened to Terror in quite some time. So a Genestealer Cult has weeded its tendrils into the heart of the Imperium. So beneath the palace, it's the Shadow Throne is kind of alluding to that. There is a kind of secondary cult that's starting to rise up.
That's such a
with
great
uncharacteristic
name
swiftness.
to have it set on
Adeptus
Terror as the
Custodes have
Shadow
decided
Throne. I
that's
love
not
it.
really a thing that's okay, because a Genestealer Cult underneath the palace is bad for a whole bunch of reasons.
Okay, I'm going to turn them down. We can chat just because they're kind of explaining what Terra is if you're new to 40K. And we don't cover 40K too much on this channel. I love the fact that the Sisters of Silence are there because they would be a required part of hunting out, I think, a Genestealer cult. If you don't know, Sisters of Silence, whenever you're near them, they're like a psychic null. Everything shuts down on a psychic level around them, so everyone gets really uncomfortable. People hate being around them. I love it. Let's see. With these 2-player boxes, I typically don't really care for them. Mainly because they're not generally like good sets of models to get into the faction. Like if you were on the edge about Adeptus Custodes, this model they're showing right now is the only thing that's going to do anything for you. Because it's unique to this, but like outside of this, it's one unit of Custodes and Sisters of Silence, which you may or may not be interested in. And then for the Genestealer Cults, it's just not. I mean, it's a good start. I mean, they need lots of troops, so it's cool. But I don't know. It just doesn't. It's just not enough. I don't know. They're gonna sell it like hotcakes though, because people love these two factions. There's so much nostalgia wrapped up in both of them. Just spam land speeders. For Custodes, I've heard that. They were actually a faction that I was considering jumping into simply because of the low model count. Like, it just takes like 20 dudes and you got an army. I'm like, I can do that. Two of the most interesting factions for lore. David, that's a fantastic point. They are. I like them both separately. It's just when you try to put them, you know, their armies are so vastly different that when you try to put them in a box together, you don't really get like a starting place because there's not really enough going on for either of them. I don't know. It's just a strange thing, but I do love both factions. That guy does look amazing. Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, he's baller. I just built so this is a Stormcloak warrior from Elder Scrolls Call to Arms with that a similar pose. I love when they're lunging forward with a two-handed sword. Love it. The Reductus Saboteur. Okay. So in case, I'm sorry, I realized I had the volume down low. Essentially, this is a character that when you bring them, they can drop bombs all across the battlefield. And so it's just a way of like, it's more control over the terrain and that kind of stuff. So that's a cool idea. It's a cool design idea they're going out for.
So in game terms, the way that manifests is she basically has a ranged attack because the whole battlefield is covered in explosives before anyone even starts.
Sounds so fun.
Yeah, so she goes, you over there, you don't know this, but actually you're standing on a bomb, and then she plunges the little thing and the thing explodes. So a really interesting character in the way that she interacts with the rest of the Genestealer army, giving you some kind of hefty range firepower. And she's also got like loads of grenades and bombs and stuff. So if you get really close, she can kind of chuck a
I like the whole stick of dynamite and then the grenade on the other side. It's really nice. The chat showing a lot of love for the sort of alternate head, which is one of the really lovely things about this model as well.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about
awesome.
Genestealer Cults is you can kind of, I suppose, lean into how alien you want them to look. So you can definitely do a Genestealer army where, you know, if you didn't look too closely, you'd be forgiven for thinking they were just innocent Imperial miners with little goggles and stuff, and maybe just the odd extra arm.
As long as you keep that third
arm tucked
behind.
As long as you put that under the cloak, you'd be all right. Or if you want to have like a really alien sort of look, you can go for the alternate head, which has the much more prominent ridges and also that kind of burn damage. It looked like maybe
too close to one of her booby traps.
Yeah, maybe like in training she wasn't quite as careful as she is now. But a lovely model. Not shown on this image, but she does also come with like a little extra explosive
I think we saw that
icon.
in the group shot a minute ago.
And then
I would love if there was an arm option where both arms were humanoid, like as if you could go fully human kind of a thing. Because then it would let you play with the different generations of Genestealer Cults. If you're not familiar, every generation of them becomes more human until the process restarts with an actual Genestealer, which is cool as hell. But I love this model. It's very cool. And they nailed it. And now they're just talking about nothing. As far as the box set goes, it's fine. You know, I used to be like pretty neutral on these like 2 army box sets for AoS and they're getting a new codex for Custodes. Let's talk about that.
Also going to be a new Adeptus Custodes codex for Warhammer 40,000.
Yeah, so this is a really exciting codex for Adeptus Custodes fans. It does a whole bunch of stuff that Custodes fans will have been looking forward to. So there's a few key things that are worth knowing about this. So one of them is, as you can see from the cover and the image there, the Sisters of Silence have joined the Custodes full time.
Good.
So as we joined them at the start of the Indomitus Crusade, the Sisters of Silence were kind of a scattered sisterhood across the galaxy. Nobody really knew how many there were. They certainly weren't organised in the way that they were during the time of the Horus Heresy, but they've been recombined. The sisterhoods have been kind of put together back under the leadership of the Adeptus Custodes. The Talons of the Emperor have been reforged effectively, and you can now fit in your Sisters of Silence force alongside your Custodes, and all the kind of synergies across the army work. And there's some extra kind of cool stratagems and stuff where you can have the 2 forces fighting alongside each other, and they sort of become greater than the sum of their parts, just as they were always intended to be. So that's pretty cool.
It is.
That's a fantastic thing.
I love the cover as well, because you've got that looks like Trajan Valoris to me. Stonkingly great Custodes hero with an axe big enough to behead.
How do you guys feel about that? About merging Sisters of Silence into Custodes? I like it. I'm here for it.
A regular shield
It
captain.
could be a shield captain with a
decide.
stonkingly great axe.
You can decide.
In my mind, until what I'll do is go and find the artist and ask them. But not today.
So there's a few other things worth
Go on,
calling out with this.
hit
I
us.
think so one of the other things that's really cool is that at the moment, if you take a shield host of Custodes, you get a few extra bonuses. So you get like some warlord traits and a stratagem or something. What this book does is it really differentiates the difference between the shield hosts of the Custodes. So if you take you paint your Custodes different colours, basically they get different rules in the same way that you would if you had a Space Marine chapter or an Eldari Craft World or a Drukhari different force.
So they're
or
just sub-faction rules. I got that. That's
It's
cool.
pretty exciting if you have gone to the trouble of painting your Custodes force in a different colour scheme to be rewarded with the rules for them. That's nice.
Yeah, so they now play differently. So you've got much more options, and it's nice as well because you don't have to go too far back before the Adeptus Custodes weren't even part of Warhammer.
I'm going to turn them down here. A lot of agreement. Yeah. That guy no, I have not seen the trailer, but I will check that out at some point for sure. The art has been both fantastic, both in AOS and 40k this edition. I am all for armies folding together, absolutely. I'm the same way.
A little. One of the things that you do have in the codex is a HQ choice for Sisters of Silence. So you can do an entire Sisters of Silence army. I don't know how effective it would be on the battlefield, but if you just really super love Sisters of Silence, you could probably find it.
And I think, to be fair, that in many ways reflects the law, which is they're a force multiplier for the other Imperial forces, rather than like a discrete unit that goes off and fights as an army.
It would be rare.
Megan Morgan, I just got the Sisters of Silence leader from Forge World. Was going to use her in a kit bash. Interesting.
Well, somebody's just pointing out you might be able to make a great Bastion conversion from the Stormcast range into
I think you definitely could. There's a lot of big, shiny, cool golden people that you could mix and match were you so inclined.
Very good. And of course, the Adeptus Custodes are not alone. They are joined by the Genestealer Cults with their new codex and, quite frankly, some of the creepiest cover art of all time.
It's super creepy cover art. If anyone was kind of looking at the Genestealers being like, oh, they seem like a nice bunch to kind of join for the uprisings. One look at that codex cover goes, you know what, I think I'm going to stick with my current oppressors. Thanks very much. But a really exciting codex for Genestealer Cults. I think worth saying. Genestealer Cults have been one of those armies that maybe hasn't shone in this edition of Warhammer 40,000 so far. So a lot of the things that are current challenges to them that are addressed to some extent in this book. So there's a whole bunch of things that are pretty cool.
Now, you see, he says that, but I think it's more than just like the Genestealer Cults haven't been good in the game. I think Games Workshop for the longest time just wasn't sure how to articulate in rules lingo what their vision was for the faction, because you had all different kinds of ways of coming onto the board. I did feel like when I played them in 8th, they feel really cool, but then they changed the way those alternate deployments work round 1, so they kind of got hampered a little bit. So it's just interesting that he says that. I don't know, I'm curious, because it's almost like the book or the game has evolved past them consistently. Like, they create a cool set of rules and then the game changes in some way that makes it invalid. So I'm really hoping that they found a way to kind of bring that together a bit more. And I agree, Ken, that cover art is amazing because it does convey the army.
Gives you loads more options to play with the Genestealer Cults without having to run out of command points by about turn 2, which is certainly what happened to me currently when I play with my army. So I'm looking forward to playing with this codex.
It's nice, and in some ways, it's nice for your opponent too, because
he hit the nail on the head. You're running out of command points turn 2,
which I think could lead for a satisfying game for both sides of the thing.
Yeah, so they might know, for example, that you've paid points to put a Genestealer unit underground in a pipe sewer work somewhere, rather than it being a stratagem thing. So it's a very different codex. Like a lot of the other codexes we've seen for this edition of 40k, you've got a lot of the weapons and things have changed. There's a keyword now for mining weapons, so a lot of your stratagems kind of riff off that in different ways, and you can do some ruinously good damage with your mining lasers and buzzsaws and stuff like that. It's a really exciting codex. If you're a Genestealer Cults player, and I am a Genestealer Cults player, and I've got a chance to kind of flick through this.
Okay, they're just riffing now. I'm excited about it. I mean, honestly, it's not the Tyranid stuff that I wanted, but it's adjacent. I can use it, and I think it sounds really, really cool. Again, I hope they just kind of lean into the way the army's supposed to function.
The chat have been burbling away with all sorts of questions and things, but there were a couple of funny ones I saw that I really quite liked. One of which was, have the Genestealer Cults heard of toupees or wigs? And my immediate thought was, well, I imagine that the orcs have a monopoly on that with the hair swigs. So,
they probably do. They got like hoods. I think if you're Genestealer Cults, you go all in hoods. They got lots of options for that.
I would agree.
Or just
hoods
big massive mining gear that kind of covers your head.
And using the big keyword for the stop sign. So very good. And then somebody said the keyword for the stop sign is stop that, which I think is glorious. Anyway, welcome if you're just joining us. We have just talked about Shadow Throne, which is an upcoming battle box for the Adeptus Custodes and the Genestealer Cults and their upcoming codexes. As for the when, Natamatron, not too far away.
Before the end of the year.
There we go. So we'll keep you posted. Stay tuned to warhammercommunity.com.
Typically when these things happen, I always assume that they're going to be actually having the models in the next quarter. Oh, here we go, AoS.
Oh, he gestured at me.
We got Age of Sigmar.
Okay. Oh, sorry.
It's behind you, Adam. It's behind you.
Because I can't see behind me, because I don't have that mutation yet on the Chaos Mutations table, and I was looking at Raph and the camera. It's very confusing. There is a skull behind the camera. I wish you could see what I can see. This is an amazing room that we're in, and there's a skull behind the camera that I'm supposed to try and
30 minutes talking about one box with 2 codexes.
Welcome to Warhammer Age of Sigmar. I saw a couple of people arrive and say, hope haven't missed the Age of Sigmar news. Well, you haven't. You've arrived just in time.
Loins girded. Let's do this.
We are Nurgle's gift.
Yes, Nurgle.
Bringers not of death, but life, teeming, writhing, eternal life. With the Plague Father's blessing, the curse of mortality will be cast from these lands. Like all living things, these
I know my
mortal
chat's excited.
realms will decay. And in time, no peace in Nurgle's garden.
What? That guy's awesome.
Come, mortal children. Grand.
So,
they cut him off.
Battle time for Age of Sigmar, and a timely arrival for many. Eddie.
Yes, so this is the Maggotkin of Nurgle. Anyone who is a Warhammer Age of Sigmar fan will know that Nurgle have been waiting very patiently for their battle tome.
I hate the bughead, but I love the one where he's got a cowl.
So let's have a look at this guy first.
This is so cool.
I think it's fair to say, pretty fly.
Oh my goodness. We are looking, of course, at the Rotbringer Sorcerer with 2 heads. The thing I hope is that when that cowl comes up, it's still got fly eyes.
I think, basically, whenever we're talking about anything Nurgle, anything that's like a hood or cloth or anything like that, just don't even think about what's under it, because it's going to be super gross.
That's fun.
But this is a really fun miniature. I mean, obviously very in keeping with a lot of your standard Nurgle aesthetics. So you've got the kind of the scythe there. There's lots of kind of nods to flies and to withering. You've got these kind of cool little green candles, which are painted green, which is quite a nice little touch, and bells and scrolls. And
I'm curious what size base he's
plague
on. Let me see if I
bearer
can ask them in the chat.
for a belt buckle there as well. So looks like
it's perhaps a little more withered than the sort of the typical aesthetic. You know, when you look at the Blight Kings and things, they're quite hench. The Rotbringer Sorcerer has quite spindly arms and like weird spikes.
I just asked a question in the chat. We'll see if the answer is, but I would love to know how big he is compared to, because he fills out so much of that base.
Sorry, Coffee Poo Poo said Super Gross. I've never quite come to terms with Coffee's name. There we are. This is the world we live in. Also, a big shout out to the scythe motif with the triple bubo at the top of it.
I love
if you've got to have a wizard staff.
This is cool.
People with.
Yeah. I like to see a wizard with scrolls as well. It always reminds me of old school fantasy dispel scroll. Like your wizard never left home, didn't he? Without at least 1 or 2 dispel scrolls, which I imagine is what he's got around his waist there.
Seems to be a 32 mil.
A much more kind of withered look than some of the other mortal Nurgle stuff, with very kind of corpulent, large Blight Kings, which we've seen. So this guy is a very different kind of direction and aesthetic, but also there's enough kind of commonality that he fits in really nicely into your army as well. So you can imagine this guy leading any selection of Nurgle stuff, and the fly head obviously would lead it quite well if you had lots of Nurgle demons in your force, and kind of imagine this guy is halfway on his way to becoming a big weird Nurgle fly demon, which I guess is his dream. I suppose everyone needs to their own.
That's what we were looking for.
So here we are with Chaos Battle Tome, Maggotkin of Nurgle, and an awesome shot of some of the models.
I'm going to just listen to what they say about it here.
The confines of this battle tome. Just look at that collection.
So, Maggotkin of Nurgle have been waiting a long time for their battle tome. Anybody who's been following Age of Sigmar will know that they got their last battle tome at the end of the very first edition of Warhammer Age of Sigmar.
So they the longest of everybody.
They've been waiting just over 3 years for a brand new battle tome. So this is, but Nurgle is a patient god. He's willing to wait. And this battle tome brings loads and loads of good stuff for them. So
Can I agree?
They've got new army-wide abilities. They've got one which is particularly ruinous, which is disease. So basically, the way that plays in game terms is that if you get close to any of these the models in the Nurgle army with your own models, they become infected, and then over the course of the game, they take mortal wounds sort of forever. So you can never really get rid of it, and you become more and more infected. The closer you are, the more damage you take from Nurgle units. So even if you think you've like wiped out the Nurgle unit you're fighting, it might have infected you, and then over the course of the battle, you become kind of sick and withered and take mortal wounds.
That's
just
so
as
cool.
you would imagine they would play based on
Really nice
on the
shades
lore.
of some classic Nurgle's Rot.
Yeah.
That's
So
really
anyone
nice.
who remembers Nurgle's Rot from old school 40k or Warhammer Fantasy, well, it's that sort of flavour of rule, but it's really fun. Lots of other new additions as well, so new spells and different ways to kind of play your army in different shapes. And we were saying before as well that the Nurgle range is a really, really good looking range for Warhammer.
They already have an amazing range of models.
A lot of the demon miniatures and the Blight Kings. They've got one of the, I don't want to say prettiest, because I think pretty is probably the wrong word for
Entirely subjective.
but impressive. Let's go with that.
Yeah, I think it's a really beautiful range, which has got a really distinct and exciting aesthetic to it. We were saying before we started, I've not collected any Nurgle mortals, but I've got absolutely loads of Nurgle demons. And when you see the army sort of laid out like this, you're like, oh, maybe it wouldn't be too hard to up my Nurgling a little.
Yeah, so you've obviously this has got mortals in it. It's got the opportunity to put demons in your army. You can also mix in Slaves to Darkness miniatures into your army as well. You can mix in beast models into your army. So basically, if it can follow the god Nurgle in any way, shape, or form in the mortal realms, you can include it in your force in some way, which is pretty cool.
That is exciting, isn't it?
The other thing that's really cool about this, as we started to see with the Cruel Boys and Stormcast, is that you get Path to Glory rules. So anyone who's been playing Warhammer 40,000 will know about Crusade, and you can kind of follow your agenda. So similar to that, so what you've got is the chance to kind of go on a quest and increase your hero's abilities and fulfill duties to Nurgle and spread the blight across the mortal realms. So all of those kind of rules that we started to see.
I like that idea.
In
that
the
their
core
mission is to
rulebook and in
spread
the
blight
Cruel Boys
rather than
and
conquer
Stormcast books for
territories
those
per
factions
se.
you've got for Nurgle, which is a really fun way to play Age of Sigmar, because the narrative is very compelling, and obviously Nurgle was a big part of that right at the start of Age of Sigmar.
Yeah, absolutely. So somebody said in there, I missed your name. They said a tip for the future is you can hear me breathing or us breathing. What actually happens is I get really close to the microphone when I'm looking at the chat. So
okay, I couldn't care less about him breathing. If you guys missed it, we have a new Sorcerer of Nurgle coming. The old resin one, hopefully it'll go away and die in a fire. And then they previewed a little bit about the Nurgle Battle Tome. And so there's going to be diseases that as you get close to a Nurgle unit, you can be afflicted with a disease that can hurt you well after that unit that is being attacked is dead.
In detail on Warhammer Community.
Yeah, we'll dive into all of the rules. And there's lots of things about the Battle Tome that's changed. So again, imagine this is a new Battle Tome. You're going to have new abilities for lots of your units.
They're basically telling everyone, like, don't ask questions. Let me get the chat here. Damn, now I'm actually excited for Nurgle players. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it seemed really cool. I don't know who complained about their mics. Sounds great.
Logo. There is some very, very cool Blood Bowl news. Watch this.
Okay. Dazzle me.
I'll never forget my first game of College Dungeon Bowl. My professor looked me in the eyes and said, "Listen, keep an eye on the Warhawks. I've got 50 gold on them, gutting at least 3 goblins."
Sounds like every girl had a crush on in Texas
That's when I
was a kid.
knew I was destined to be a pitch-side reporter. Those days were something else. Now, the colleges are opening up the dungeons again, and they're going to need some new blood in the teams. And on the walls, and
is this
the
like their college
floor.
football
Who
version?
knows? Maybe you'll be a star player yourself one day.
What? Dungeon Blood Bowl. Yes. I'm gonna play the hell out of this. This looks so freaking ridiculous.
It's like Bob always says, the pitch is where heroes are made, Jim, but the dungeon's where they're born.
So something a little different for fans of Blood Bowl. Dungeon Bowl. Adam, tell us about this.
Well, there's a chance you know as much as I do, but if you are of a certain vintage, the grey in my beard maybe gives it away. You'll remember in days of yore that Blood Bowl was a way of playing, Dungeon Bowl was a way of playing Blood Bowl. And as it says on it, it's the game of subterranean Blood Bowl mayhem. Essentially, imagine that it is a game of Blood Bowl, but played in underground sort of dungeons and catacombs, which are laden with traps and pitfalls and all the sorts of things that can go wrong.
I love it.
Here you see the board and how it's laid out. The principles of the game are still roughly the same as you'd expect from a game of Blood Bowl. Try and score some goals, or incapacitate your opposing team to the point where they can't play on. But there's a lot of nuance to it. You'll see on this that there are treasure chests. You need to run around and find where the ball is, because nobody knows where the ball starts on the field. And then there's all sorts of, you can see there's the sort of lava-filled chasm and a little rickety
Not really
bridge.
in a dungeon unless you've got lava, are you?
Right, I mean, it's very much a Warhammer-themed dungeon. And it is just a really exciting and fun way to enjoy the Blood Bowl experience. I know, having spoken to him, as recently as today, I bumped into one of the guys in the team who worked on this, and they are super excited because what they've done is take all the things that were great about classic Dungeon Bowl and bring it fully up to date, ready for existing in the now. And I think it looks amazing as you look at the set. It's a fully
okay. I'm going to turn them down because they're just talking about the contents, which we can clearly see. The reason I'm interested in this, even more so than regular Blood Bowl, is because of the way that like charges and not charges, blitz is what they call them in Blood Bowl. But the way that blitz works, and then like shoving players back, it's a very like tactical movement focused thing. So having a grid where you have choke points built in is going to be very interesting when it comes to like, once you get the ball, having your team be able to actually make it to the other side. Like that sounds very interesting, knowing what I know about Blood Bowl and how it functions. Putting it in tight corridors sounds awesome. Here we have our dwarf team. So we have a few. Well, I don't know why there's grots with them, but okay. Oh, the College of Fire. Okay.
Really good for Dungeon Bowl. As long as you can block up those choke points, you can roll on really nicely. And they're in the set, and they go up against the team from the College of Shadows, I believe it is.
College of Fire,
which are
College
perhaps
of
the
Shadows.
sneakiest,
This is so
and most
fun. I freaking love it.
In
college teams
Dungeon Bowl,
and Blood Bowl
with Skaven and Dark Elves.
I think, am I right in saying that the Dungeon Bowl itself happens in the kind of catacombs beneath the colleges of magic themselves? Mm-hmm. So you've got the various different colleges in old school, old world fantasy. Obviously, there were 8 different colleges based on the 8 different winds of magic, and beneath the kind of catacombs of each one of those colleges, they would have Dungeon Bowl
That's so
places to
freaking
play.
rad,
So
dude.
you've also got rules in this for the 6 other colleges of magic, so life and death and all the various different ones. But a really fun, different way to play Blood Bowl. I think kind of mixing a little bit of kind of dungeon exploration in with American football, which is, you know, a little bit of a weird crossover, but kind of works.
Yeah, and I think one of the things this is going to do is Blood Bowl is a game that is enjoyed enormously by people who like to go to organised play events and have, the sort of the quick games of balanced forces, balanced teams in the case of Blood Bowl against each other. It's very popular on sort of a tournament circuit, and this is going to provide extra opportunities for those sort of communities to really get involved in perhaps broadening their horizons. I could imagine having a tournament where like day 1 is played on the pitches above ground and then day 2 is played in the dungeons beneath would be pretty exciting. I think if you are a fan of Blood Bowl, somebody doesn't like the plastic on the back of my Mac. They're going to really dislike when they find out what that plastic is. If you're a fan of Blood Bowl and you want to get into it, but you haven't yet, then this would be a good way. And if you're a veteran and you've been enjoying it, this is going to provide you some new opportunities.
They're just commenting they don't like Apple product. What a dumb thing to say.
In the design behind this. So I'm very excited to see how it feels when you play it.
Okay, I'm going to turn them down a little bit. So here's the thing. I love the idea of the secondary league, the idea of like a college-themed game where they can just mix and match kits. I see that Only Roke said that they're not new. They're just like sprues from the other teams, which is fine, I guess. It is a bummer, but having more and more ways to build teams. I'm curious if like that team of fire is the only variations. Like it can be dwarves, ogres, and Necrots. Or can you have elves and stuff go to the College of Fire? I don't know, because at that point it's an incredible modeling opportunity and I'm here for it. So I'm very, very curious.
They're aware that certain teams don't necessarily compete on an even keel against each other. I'm, by choice, either a human or a halfling Blood Bowl team player, and I'm well aware that my halfling Blood Bowl team is lower tier than the humans.
But if you win with it,
yeah,
you're
right?
the best player.
So my humans I would describe as upper middle, whereas my halfling team is like lower bottom. And
that's a good team name for halflings, actually.
Yeah, exactly. So the Pie Express, as my team is known, if they get a win, two things happen.
They're basically talking about Blood Bowl balance. If you don't know, Blood Bowl is a game that is simultaneously wildly unbalanced and yet somehow the best game Games Workshop's ever made, depending on how you talk to their fan base. Where, yeah, there are factions that are just intended to be duds for humor's sake, like the halflings. But, oh, here we go, Warcry.
It is time for some Warcry. This is very exciting. Raph, play us a video.
Enough foreplay. Let's get to the real meat. Nice. We saw him on the community page. Him as well. Oh, snap. It's like a mining operation. Oh, hell yeah, dude. Oh, I love it. Dark Code Savage. Some always have more Dark Code stuff. Damn, that is some cool looking terrain. You're right, it is massive.
So I think we just agreed while we were off camera that everything in that looks amazing.
Yes.
I'm most excited about the terrain. Let's go back to the beginning. Eddie, what have we just beheld?
So this is Warcry Red Harvest, which is a new box for Warcry, and we've seen a little bit of this teased on the Warhammer Community website before, but now the full box is revealed in all of its glory, and it's a pretty cool looking box. So
it really is.
You've got on the one hand a force of kind of your kind of classic barbarian archetype, the Dark Oath Savages, and these guys are kind of might makes right. Your kind of classic marauder archetype almost.
Give us
and up
a Dark
against
Oath
them,
army.
you've got this kind of super creepy
Conan versus the Spider Cult, exactly.
And I think if you just want a sense of how wrongins they are, look at the guy's tiny little arm on the cover. So these guys use Varanite, which is the raw realm stone of the 8
I feel like this little baby
to
arm is
mutate
not,
themselves to be more like
superimposing.
the thing that they worship, which is the 8-legged spider
They don't even want the
incarnate
warbands.
of the power of chaos, and they are just super creepy. And then in the setting, still in the 8 points, you have a Varanite mine, which is effectively a chaos mining operation, which is
I assume the worst mining operation to work in.
pretty much. So extracting the raw stuff of chaos from the ground of the sprawl to turn into stuff that can be used in all manner of different sorceries and magic forging. But this stuff is super dangerous. So like even the slightest touch of a Varanite can turn you into a chaos spawn or grow you an extra arm, which the spider guys are big into. And we also know from the events of the Broken Realms that Maratha used a portion of this to fuel her ascension to godhood. So it's very powerful stuff. So whenever there is a mine of this stuff, people are after it. It's very important. It's strategically important. But it's also a really cool battlefield because you can like kick people off girders and kick them into Varanite. And if Varanite touches you, bad things happen to you, basically.
Look how good the terrain is.
The terrain is super cool.
That's cool.
it's perfect for a skirmish battle.
I
Because
love
you've got
the
all these
little
different
wall
platforms and
segments they
levels.
have going along
And
the
Warcry
track. They're like
leans
perfectly
really heavily into almost kind of like
wide enough to cover it.
gymnastics
I
around
love
the
it.
battlefield, so you can like leap from things
the
and
ramp
dive behind
coming
things
up
and
the side.
seek cover and do diving charges. Quite a lot of warbands have got
Holy smokes,
abilities.
guys,
that
I'm blown away.
kind of,
This is
if
awesome
you jump down
looking.
from a certain height, you can get bonuses, and you can scale things quicker, and you get a kind of multi-leveled kind of feel to it, which is quite distinct from a game of Warhammer Age of Sigmar, which tends to be kind of like 2D across the battlefield. Warcry is very definitely a 3D battlefield environment, and this leans
the
really
way
heavily
movement
into
in
that.
it works means that getting up
Just
on
wait
those
until
high
OSHA
places
gets a
and
look at it,
moving from
yeah.
thing to thing, it's going to be a very real part of your game and will lend to a really dynamic feel.
Yeah, and this is
the
really
models.
high as well. So you get obviously you can take damage if you fall off stuff. So you can imagine lots of fights that happen at the top of girders, and people are kind of kicking one person off the edge or kicking them into Varanite mines and stuff like that. You get a sense of the atmosphere. The fake smoke effect isn't provided, unfortunately, but everything else on that picture is, and you can get some incredibly cool looking
Incredible.
battlefields.
Just leave the toast in the toaster for like 30 seconds longer
Absolutely,
than normal,
yeah.
and then set up the alarms and get showered at by my
It's terrain that is so simple to paint because you would just dry brush it like wood, and then you can go back and do the metal bits. I love when terrain is very accessible in terms of painting.
when they're in place. We were discussing beforehand that the models in this are just incredible, and for me at least, I have a new
This
favourite.
guy looks
warband
awesome. The
for-
Conan,
for
the barbarian
Warcry.
looking one.
I think yours might be the other one for me though, because
Yeah.
I really like the kind of creepy spider people. They appeal to probably the same part of me that made me be a Genestealer Cults player. But yeah, creepy people with extra arms for some reason. I'm just into it.
Yeah, whereas for me, the Dark Oath Savages are just where it's at. These guys are the sort of archetypal sort of barbarian.
For some reason, I thought there were more fighters on their fighter card thing.
Sworn in their allegiance to the dark gods, and for me that's really exciting. On this page, my favourite is the top right, but you get 10 models in total, so this isn't all of them.
Oh,
and you can see
okay,
the sort
okay.
of weapons and things they've got. The bottom right on this page is my other
Yes.
favourite. Just incredible.
That guy.
I think also right in the middle there, you've got the sort of sorcerer equivalent for the warband as well, and she is super creepy, kind of witch
She
archetype.
has no eyes
She's-
except for the one she's holding.
She's holding the
snap.
eye of
Is this chick
probably some
throwing
kind
a
of
hatchet?
horrible
That would be
monster
so
creature that she's
cool.
acquired and also lost her own eyes.
The one in
and
the
she
bottom left
appears to
here.
be some kind of like shaman or kind of witch doctor or something like that. But there's a really nice kind of aesthetic running through this warband where they're not.
Oh, only Rogue. Thank you so much for pointing that out, buddy. Yeah, another silhouette has been revealed.
Kind of seeking greatness in the eyes of the gods, but they maybe don't have that kind of level of understanding of the different pantheon in the same way that maybe the slaves to darkness do, or people. The gods are kind of this abstract thing to them, and they're just warriors after strength and the.
Yep, I love it. I think that's a really nice aesthetic. There's a few questions. One, somebody said that the Dark Oath Savager I pointed out in the bottom right here is reminiscent of that classic Hero Quest. Hero Quest barbarian, and I think that might be why I'm so drawn to him. Somebody else asked, will there be a war scroll for these for using in Warhammer Age of
there will
Sigmar?
be.
Almost certainly.
They
We've done it for
definitely
all the
will.
others,
Yeah, they definitely will. So,
So,
give you another kind of view onto the great sprawl of humanity that is still under the thrall of chaos. Like it's easy to kind of forget when we talk about Age of Sigmar that.
Okay, I'm going to turn them down. I'm going to talk. I freaking love this. I love all of these. The female sculpts that are like wielding hatchets, I think look freaking baller. The middle shaman lady is awesome. And all the warriors are cool. So here's the spider folk.
Which are just super creepy weird.
Some
So,
these bug them, and I thought
Yeah.
that was
Oh,
great.
the hoods and the cowls. they
spiders
look
have 8
great.
legs. The Chaos Star has 8 legs. These guys have put 2 and 2 together and come up with 8. And they have a really different kind of aesthetic from anything Chaos we've seen before. You can see that on the kind of higher.
I feel like some designers got really high and were like, what if Corvus Cabal, but spider? These guys are awesome. I'll be honest with you, the one I like the least is the main model person. But all of these other ones, I love the cowls and the feathers. It looks so good. Almost looks like Spider Fang Grots, like with the way they have the feather. Yeah, I don't know. I love them.
Fast and sneaky warband to go up against the kind of strong and fierce warband that they go up against.
Yeah, nice sort of opposing playstyles would be good. There's a thing, like all of the different Chaos Warbands that we've seen for Warcry, they admire/worship Chaos in a different way. And my understanding is that these worship Chaos as the Eightfold Watcher, which is why this sort of like arachnid thing has emerged. And so it starts to make sense when you look at all of their webs and everything. They're definitely going for it.
Here we go. I like these guys
each
more.
Each of these kits, obviously, you get 10 warriors for your warband, and the subsequent 5 are at least as great as the previous ones. I can imagine that lots of people are going to find uses for these heads in kit bashes as well.
Yeah, the miniatures are just lovely in their own right.
Players are
never mind making
crap.
a warband for Warcry, just beautiful Citadel miniatures. There's some things about them that are very different from a few of the other warbands we've seen. So there's a lot of javelins on them, so I imagine they've got some kind of ranged attack in Age of Sigmar. Brings an interesting dynamic potentially to your Chaos faction. A lot of their weapons are kind of multi-headed, so even the weapons are kind of starting to sprawl extra arms and things. But a really interesting, different kind of aesthetic. Quite a lot of them have spider bites on as well, which I quite like.
Only Rogue Doug, do you think the warbands are just fighting because the Dark Oath are arachnophobic? I think so. I think they're probably the exterminator crew that came into the mine and were like, okay, we got a spider problem here, boys.
Imbibing toxins or poisons or whatever to make themselves more spidery, who knows?
I think if you hang out around Varanite and you get bitten by chaos spiders a lot, that's what you get, that kind of natural, healthy purple complexion.
Yeah, it makes perfect sense.
God dang, I want to play Warcry right now. Maybe I'll do a battle report like in a week or two.
Just to do their spidery things.
Yeah.
I think if you are not a fan of spiders,
we should have warned them. Really.
Yeah, I just realised these are not the guys for you. Thankfully, they're little.
Man,
you know, except for the spider bases, I can't help you there.
The nice thing about those spider bases is they'll fit neatly under a glass. So if you need to kind of put them under a glass and take them outside, you can do it.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess that's how you could remove them from play.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So in game terms, the way that these spiders support the Tarantulas brood is they're kind of like an annoyance swarm. So the Tarantulas don't have the kind of raw weight and savagery of the Dark Oath, but what they do have is like a tide of spiders that can tie up one of their fighters for a turn and kind of get in the way.
Yeah, the spiders are going to die real easy, but in a game of activation economy or action economy, when everyone gets 2 actions, they don't need to be good. They can just surge up the board and clog stuff up.
There's a bucket of spiders.
And so my understanding is that Red Harvest is a full, complete Warcry box, game in a box. So if you've not tried Warcry yet, this is a perfect inroad. Or if you just want to get Warcry, loads of terrain and the new warbands, you're quizzing. Yeah,
so it's good for anyone really. So if you've already got loads of Warcry stuff, you've got all the new terrain, you've got new warbands to play with, and there's some extra rules in there to kind of tell you how that terrain works and to give you some new stuff to do in your games. There's a really strong narrative thread that goes through Warcry as well, so you can kind of take your warband on different quests and stuff in different locations. So it definitely is a great box if you're already big into Warcry. But if you're like, actually, the thing that I needed to kind of tip me over the edge and kind of make the plunge was creepy spider people with extra arms,
or awesome barbarian dudes,
then.
One thing I do hope for this book, though, is that it comes with a lot of missions to include that terrain, like ones where you're trying to start or stop the flow of Varanite or capture things. Like, I want the terrain to matter, just like it did in Catacombs, for sure.
And if you've already got the original Warcry box, or you've got any of the other kind of bits of Warcry terrain, you can kind of mush all that terrain together and create like really extravagant battlefields. It all works alongside each other. It's got the same kind of aesthetic and battlefield look, so you can start to do some really cool stuff.
Sounds great. Right. Well, we are far from done. If you are just joining us, then welcome to this Warhammer Preview Online. It is Warhammer Day, and we are enjoying showing loads
what else do we have?
Cool,
we have Horus, Heresy,
and we've already covered a whole bunch, and we're going to be covering more. One of the things that we're very excited about right now is obviously Warhammer Plus is about to experience the second half of Angels of Death's first season.
I'm not going to lie to you guys, I could not conceivably care less about Angels of Death stuff.
Before we do, I think it's worth saying we've had 5 episodes of Angels of Death so far.
So I'm going to turn them down and we're going to have a chat about Warcry. That's basically how this is going to go. Yes, so Only Rogue says, I hope we can ride the assembly line or something. So we do know that they mentioned there are consequences for touching Varanite, like it's a negative affecting substance. They're just throwing a trailer. We're going to talk about Warcry. Sorry, guys. I don't care. But there is a negatively affecting substance, so it makes me think that with the way that they had the ramps on that preview shot, you should be able to run up onto the actual Varanite stream, and then you're going to take some negative hits for it. But, like, I love it. I'm in love with it because one of the things that I think has always separated Necromunda from Warcry in terms of, it's just how you interact with the world. Like Necromunda, you have computers to hack, you have doors you can smash open, all that kind of stuff. Well, as they've been giving us Warcry supplements in terms of the different box sets, those things have been added. So when Warcry first started, it was just like elevation, running, and jumping. That's basically it. That was as far as the terrain rules on the whole went. But, you know, with Catacombs, we have things like levers being linked to doorways. We have, traps, pits, things that you can, like sewers you can crawl out of, all these kinds of crazy looking things. And so this just kind of adds to it. So I would love to do a battle report. Imagine this, a battle report where you combine all those things. So you're at the Varanite mine, you get the lever switch from the Catacombs set, you throw it at the top. Hey, you need to turn the mine off. And so you're fighting your way up to the top. One of your actions has to be to flip the switch. The thing shuts down, but it also inadvertently opens a door, and now more enemies come in, or something like that. I think it could be awesome. Let's see. I'm just gonna look through your guys' lot of chat about the Spider Boys. Yes, and I did catch the our very original Hero Quest Barbarian, not Conan. You could see him stop and have the 404 error and be like, Hero Quest? Yes, that is the original. Let's see. Would love to see some hero models for the old warbands. I would agree. You know, honestly, like as much as I am in love with this set that they showed for Warcry Red Harvest, for sure. The thing that I would love more is just, quite frankly, just a video where they talk about their vision for Warcry of like, are they going to go the... It's not me. Their stream went dark. There we go. Okay. I was like, everything's black. This is not good. I just feel like, did their camera shut down on them? And I don't know. They're good. Doug, your idea sounds a lot like Blackstone Fortress. Yeah, I mean, you know, it's basic 2-action game stuff, right? Where you get 2 actions per activation, and you just kind of tell a story with it. And I think that is definitely one that could be told. Certainly, I would love to see a campaign supplement, or maybe, I mean, hell, this would be super easy to make. I could probably make it. That is from Broken Realms when Marathi goes into the Varanite mining operation and they steal some Varanite. Because you could easily have Chaos Forces versus either Stormcast or Daughters of Cain, because they were both there. Or you could have the moment that the Daughters of Cain turned on the Stormcast. So like there's all these different factions at play. So I don't know. Doug, your idea sounds like it was a compliment. Oh, well, thank you. I didn't take it as a negative, but thank you for the compliment nonetheless. Necromunda, I'm sorry to say, Doug is much better than Warcry. I mean, I'm not going to argue with you, Reese. I love Necromunda so much. There's no one around here who plays. I think I would agree with you. Mechanically, I definitely agree. In terms of accessibility, I think Warcry is going to win just because it is a bit of a simpler system. But in terms of having rules that allow you to articulate the story, I mean, Necromunda wins 10 out of 10 simply because all the weapon effects and that kind of stuff, which make the game so cumbersome, also flesh out that cool story, like a harpoon gun stabbing you and pushing you against the wall, or all that kind of stuff. I love it. So, I would agree, but I only brought up Necromunda because it is sort of the sci-fi equivalent to what Warcry is kind of going for. But yeah. What are they talking about now? Let me just take a look. I'll listen in. The shaky cam on that animation was awful. I wasn't even looking, to be honest with you. But, so yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited for Nurgle to get stuff. That's fantastic. I'm super excited for Warcry, more so than I've been in months for Warcry, to be honest. Shaky cam covers janky animation. I'm not throwing any shade on animation because I don't understand how it works. It's magic to me. You know, like when your grandmother is having trouble with like the TV remotes and you come in and you solve it and then she's just like over the moon like, oh my god, how do you do it? It's just witchcraft. That's how I am when it comes to animation. Oh, here we go. Underworlds, here we go. This is a charming season. Look at a double barrel pistol. Black Powder's Buccaneers.
One of the hotly contested
I love
topics whenever we show a Warhammer Underworlds warband is what is the best thing in it, and I think the Crab has got a run for his money as we see Black Powder's Buccaneers, a slightly nautical themed warband for Harrow Deep.
Yes, so
Monkey
we
with a
know
knife is my
Harrow Deep
favourite.
as a setting is set beneath one of the seas of the Mortal Realms, deep in the kind of dungeon that periodically is accessible to travellers and adventurers and all sorts of ne'er-do-wells. And this, a very kind of nautical theme, as you say, a pirate, sort of man-eater, ogre sort of chap, backed up by a swarm of critters and helpers. A very fun, very thematic sort of looking warband. And I think one of the things we're going to start to see for Warhammer Underworlds is we've sort of ticked all the boxes. We've sort of ticked all the boxes for the major factions in Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and you're going to start to see some weird and wonderful and wacky stuff that maybe you didn't expect, and this is a good example of it, including a parrot and a monkey.
I'm all in Team Parrot, by the way. Somebody said Monkey versus Crab. The parrot is a joy. It's everything I would want in an accomplice.
I mean, if you go back a year and you ask people, like, what do you expect will be happening in the next season of Warhammer Underworlds, not many people would have said Crab is going to fight Monkey under the sea somewhere. But that's where we are. Warhammer Underworlds, a really fun warband. I think, obviously, these models are going to be usable in Warhammer Age of Sigmar as well, so you'll be able to kind of chuck these guys in your ogre army as well, which will be good fun. But just a really, I think first and foremost, the miniatures just look really great, don't they? Like just really fun and thematic. You've got a Nobbler with a peg leg there. You've got one with an anchor and a little wispy beard. Don't know if that's like seaweed or a hair squig. We're not quite sure. Could be. I don't know if Nobblers grow hair, but he's managed to.
He's got like his little anchor on a rope. He just looks so much fun. I think this warband is adorable. In terms of play style, obviously, you're going to have plenty of opportunity to interfere with sort of objectives and just generally be a nuisance with your parrot, monkey, and twin Nobbler setup, while the star of the show, Black Powder, is going to go around and mess dudes up with a
That's kind of how I imagine. So I look at this, and the way what they just articulated, in case you missed it, is it's going to be more of a tricksy warband. So the four little guys, your parrot, your grots, and your monkey stabba, are going to be causing mayhem, and then your finisher to kill things is going to be obviously Black Powder himself.
And then one of the mechanisms for this warband is that your models can loot the enemy basically to get swag. So you can do that to kind of gain inspired status, or to kind of reload the guy's enormous great cannon there. And he obviously is going to do most of your damage for you. That enormous great sword and that huge great cannon that you carry around.
He is powerful. I just brought his card up on my screen. So he has the Great Cutlass, which is good. Like that is a decent weapon. But he also has the Grundabus.
Good name.
Which is, it's not like, he's a strong dude.
It looks like a Caradron gun.
Yes,
it
does.
Like
I suspect he's misappropriated it. And once he levels up, he's rolling 4 attack dice with that Grundabus. That is grim.
I think there's mechanisms around having to reload it, I think, and there's various different cards in your deck that help you to do that. So it comes kind of loaded before the game starts, and you can blast it. And then as the game goes on, you have to kind of reload it, and Nobblers can help you with that, and different things. So it's a really fun kind of dynamic for a warband. Very different from the other ogre warband we saw, which was much more of a kind of hunter aesthetic. And I think I like this one more. The way that
the Hunter one.
Warhammer Underworlds warbands play, which have like one central character. They've done a really good job in rules terms about even making those warbands feel very different. So it feels very different from playing Mollog's Morg or from playing the different kind of ways that you can.
Do you want all their names?
Yeah, go for it. Give us the names.
So the big guy is Gorlock Black Powder.
Nice.
Described as a brawler. Then you have KG, the goblin minion with the anchor on a rope.
Pegs.
You have Pegs, who is unsurprisingly
he's got the peg
nobbler
leg
with the peg leg. So fun. You have Shriek, the parrot. He is a companion, and then Mange, who is also a companion. And Mange is the I heard somebody describe it as the hairy scorpion, but no, it is in fact a monkey with a knife in its tail. And they have some pretty.
If Apu from Aladdin was an actual, I don't know, scoundrel, he would be this monkey who's just like, I'll cut your face.
Nice. Yeah, you get a sense of how big that central model is as well, with the skull on the top of his enormous great cutlass there. So that sword and the gun are both kind of bigger than a man. So it's a pretty hefty sized.
Yeah, he's huge.
Size miniature. The nobblers are nobbler size. So one big cool central model, give you a treat for painters as well, and then lots of fun little characters that can add something a little bit different and special to Warhammer Underworlds games. Yeah. I'm loving the Underworlds warbands at the moment.
The range is just amazing, isn't it? It really is absolutely amazing. And as you can expect, they've come roaming in search of treasures. And apparently his ship was dragged beneath the waves by a whirlpool, and they found themselves washed up in Harrowdeep. So there we are. I, for one, think that's absolutely amazing. How are we doing in terms of schedule? Let me check my notes. So, we've got one more reveal to go before
one and a half.
1.5. I'll take it.
1.5. The half is usually what gets
me. I like it. Have a quick look in the chat. It's been flying.
Okay. Someone's going to be shot. I'm going to peg you when taking this warband. Oh my gosh. I like them. I like them quite a bit. The Underworlds warbands have always been a really cool place to see some inspired model designs from Age of Sigmar. I think we have Horus Heresy. Yeah, let's take a look. We'll give them a minute in the sun.
I've been very excited to see for a while. It somewhat completes the set. Raph, why don't you play the video?
Someone in the beginning definitely called out Lionel Johnson, so let's see. Okay, we're off to a good start for that. Edgelord. Hothead. Moron. Chad. I'm just trying to list off all the things I can think about these guys. Nerd. Emo. Try hard. I mean, it's cool.
He's a bit good.
It's very cool.
He's a very cool looking model.
This is the final Primarch of the Horus Heresy Brotherhood. Jagatai Khan, Master of the White Scars, Lord of the Plains, Master of the Keshig, everything.
He's
beautiful miniature.
Just fantastic. I'm super biased on this whole topic. This whole week, I've been on holiday with my family, and as we've driven around to various things, I've listened to the latest of the Siege of Terror audiobooks, which is Warhawk, which is named for Jagatai Khan, which is one of his many monikers, and it's
Nolan, you kind of missed the whole preview. We've been going for an hour and a half almost now. You missed Nurgle is getting some stuff in AoS, and they previewed the newest Warcry set, which has some incredible terrain that'll blow your mind. Where's his bike? So the Horus Heresy Primarch models, I think specifically, are meant to have like thematic bases. So I don't think he was ever going to have a bike, because none of them are on vehicles. They're all hero poses. Again, I'm not going to own him, but I think he looks rad. And the fact that there's a Death Guard model on there is so cool. I don't know much about the White Scars, to be honest. I remember when I first got into 40K, like many years ago, like back when I was in high school. Basically, they kind of like, I think, leaned a little too heavily into the Mongol theme, and this definitely looks like an adjustment from that. And he just looks savage. I love him. Risk trying to cause all kinds of trouble. There's been no chaos announcement. Chaos dwarves. I wish. That'd be so cool. And College Blood Bowl in dungeons is another thing that I didn't know that I needed, but I'm interested. The flies buzz joyously from my smelly boys. This has been a grand Warhammer day. Absolutely. Khan looks cool enough to make me interested in White Scars. My thing is, I don't want to play Horus Heresy. Like, now that we've seen Primaris Marines, I love their scale more, and I don't want to go back to the old-sized Marines, is the biggest thing. Which, of course, thematically, they all would be the smaller ones. It's so interesting to me that the game, I don't know, some people just live or die by Horus Heresy, and that's just the only game on their radar. And I'm like, it's a niche within a niche within a niche, man. GW was pretty lazy with Viking theming in the Space Wolf. I think they lean too much on tropes. It's not a laziness, because the models are all stunning for what they're trying to represent. But I think as a whole, they went too far. But like individually, if the most, Viking-y thing was the Santa sled, that'd be different. But the fact that there's so much Viking stuff everywhere, all over the place, it just kind of suffocates it. That's me with Underworld. Sculpts are gorgeous. Never going to play them, so I buy them for kit bashes. Yeah, I would agree. Yeah, my thing is locally, we were getting into Cry and Underworlds, and then when AoS 3rd edition dropped, everybody wanted to play that. So I was like all excited for my little skirmish games, and I had like 2 warbands for Underworlds all painted up. And obviously I have a bunch of stuff for Warcry, and then it's just like nobody wants to play it. I'm like, it'll come back around, but I am excited to play AoS.
Yeah, I think one of the things that we were talking about before we came on air as well is that if you are grey enough in the beard to remember the original.
So fun fact, I just watched somebody in the actual Twitch stream ask when they're going to release free 3D print files for JakatiCon because the models are too expensive. And then they just immediately deleted it. I was like, what moron thought that to put that in there? Oh my gosh. Amazing looking. I was going to pick up Thorns of the Briar Queen recently myself. Yeah, there's some great models. I love the Thorns of the Briar Queen. Just, they are certainly more dynamic Nighthaunt models for sure, which is the way she's kind of weaving up and that kind of stuff. Yeah. So this is their final full preview, but they said there's a half thing after this. I'm kind of curious as to what that might be. Blair Jameson, is that it? So this is the last full preview. So we're done there, and they said there's one half thing, so I'm assuming that's just going to be like a title or something. I'm just basically hanging out to see if it is AOS related. But at this point, I'm just kind of chatting about the stuff that we saw. Nurgle stuff, they gave us some insight into what that's going to be like, but not a ton. But they did say that there's going to be previews coming up on the Warhammer community page, which is awesome. And let's see. Can't believe after all this hype, AOS got one new miniature. See, that's my thing, though, is it's not just one miniature. It's an entire book for an entire group of players who have been so far behind. So I'm somebody who, I don't view Games Workshop solely as a miniatures company anymore. They're a game company. They used to be a miniatures company. Now they're a game company. And so when I see like, oh, no, they didn't get one new model. They got a whole new army, because all of those things are going to change and radically change from the sound of it. So you have that. You have the Vampire Lord, as Reese pointed out from Warhammer Day. And those Warcry things are all going to be able to work there as well. I don't know. I thought it was a great preview. It got me excited to play Warcry again. I want to buy a new set of models. Okay, let's see what their half thing is.
Which we will close out on. So, what a nice way to spend some of Warhammer Day.
It's been nice. We got hanging out with you in this nice new studio and all these nice people at home. It's been fun.
Right, I agree. So, I'd be interested. Chat, what's your favourite thing you've seen today? If there's a thing you saw today and thought, that really blew my socks off, I want to know, because it's quite nice afterwards to go like, oh, these things went down really well. And to be excited with you. Eddie, do you have a favourite thing you've seen today?
It's all pretty cool. I think
I'm going to turn it down until they actually show whatever that last little preview thing they mentioned was. Do I like the Warcry stuff? Yes. And Mike asked, is Warcry basically Necromunda for AOS? Sort of. It's a much more simplified version of Necromunda. It's much more accessible, but that's kind of the level of game. Yeah, it's smaller in terms of like the actual table size and stuff like that. So yeah. Let me ask you guys this: did you enjoy this? The live hanging out and chatting together? I would love to know, because if so, I will make this a regular thing whenever Games Workshop, or really any company that I cover here, Parabellum, all those kinds of things, when they do live things, I'm more than happy to share those with you.
I love seeing the lore of Warhammer 4000 and Warhammer Age of Sigmar move along narratively, and it's really exciting.
Yes? Okay, thank you. Thank you guys so much. Okay, thanks for the great feedback. They're just kind of like waffling. What are you talking about?
Assuming that I get the Dark Oath, and then we're good. Yes, sold. So, lots of people in the chat who said things. Danger Monkey was the best.
Okay, he's just asking questions. Dang it.
Over various things. And some people, I think, trying to take the pot shot and guesses at what the
what was your favorite reveal today? The format of coverage is way more interesting than just watching live. More interaction. It's ace. Thank you so much, David. So for me, my favorite thing.
Today's Warhammer Day. The Warhammer Day promotions. When do they run?
Favorite thing, Warcry for sure. I mean, to me, the definition of a successful preview is like it gets you excited for a thing that you didn't even know you were excited about immediately. Warcry was number one. Number two, weirdly, was the Blood Bowl. It's kind of tied with the Nurgle stuff for number two, where the Nurgle stuff, like, you know, I'm very interested to see what the design is for the army, you know, but they weren't able to preview a lot of the rules, besides the fact that like your units are going to have some way of giving lingering diseases to the enemy, but that's not a lot of information. So just because of the lack of information, that one's like, I love it. It would be higher if I had a bit more of an idea of what the army was going to be like, but the fact that they're getting support is wonderful, because that army kind of needs it. Now, the game has evolved past what it was designed for. So I'm really excited about that. But then the college Blood Bowl teams in the dungeons just sounds so freaking fun. So I don't know.
25,000 of you or so turned up, spent some of your Warhammer Day with us, being excited about and enjoying these previews. It's been lovely to be with you in our new spot.
Oh, weird. I thought.
How can it be better than this? Enjoy the rest of your Warhammer Day. Hope you have a lovely time.
Weird. I thought they definitely said that there were going to be one last thing.
For now, we're going to leave you with the half reveal that we promised.
'Twas a night fit for gifting, with snow on the ground. The streets were deserted, with nary a sound, while bacchanal revels kept townsfolk in bed. The rooftops were stalked by a figure in red. He leapt between chimneys with shrieks of delight, and a bag full of presents that bounced in the night. He dropped off his gifts, and he left with a boom. You're next on
Santa
his
Squig.
list,
Oh, he's got a little
and
reindeer
he's
antler.
coming soon.
Okay, that's it. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. It really means the world to me that that you enjoyed it. Look forward to more of this because got some positive feedback. But on the whole, I have to say I was most excited, like I said, about Warcry for sure. Let me go ahead and close out of this just in case it starts playing any music on their end. Was definitely cool about that. Really enjoyed it. The possibilities that terrain opens up in terms of just the verticality, I guess that's the word, of Warcry when you're constantly trying to go up. I mean, there were some tall towers in that set. Love it. As far as the Blood Bowl, college lead thing, I think it's really cool. Dungeon Bowl, they called it. I think just because of the way that movement and shoving players works in Blood Bowl, that one has a lot of interest for me. And then obviously the Nurgle stuff looks really cool. The pirate underworld things, I could take or leave, to be honest with you. I really like the man-eater. The kind of pets theme around him is really nice. I like those tricksy armies. I really hope that he can play as dodgy as he sounds like he will be able to. So I want him to be able to, the one with the hook can pull maybe objectives or enemy models towards him, that kind of stuff, where it's kind of a spoiler army. But then again, I just don't play Underworlds enough, so I don't know. The Red Gobbo, very possibly. And holiday boxes being announced in the next week or two, probably. Maybe not the next week or two, but well, yeah, it's already November, isn't it? Golly. Okay, yeah, probably. I just lost track of time. Big time. So anyway, friends, thank you all so much for joining me so early in the morning. Apologies for the froggy sounding voice, just because I don't wake up well. And so I'm going to get going for the day. I actually have another Age of Sigmar game planned today, so I can take some pictures of that against my buddy Jeremy. We're going to have a blast. And I look forward to seeing you all. Now, quick thing about this coming week, I'll give you a spoiler. We have all kinds of lore content coming out for the Stormcast and the Auric War Clans. I always want to say Cruel Boys now, but the Auric War Clans in general. And then actually next weekend, I'm going to be at Holy Havoc, which is a strong narrative theme AoS event. It's a team event. My buddy Jack from Rerolling Ones is going to fly in, and so I'm going to be just doing a whole bunch of video and coverage. What I'm trying to say is that the week following, it might be a little light on content, but I'm going to be taking all of the pictures and the footage that I did at Holy Havoc and then turning that into stuff. So just kind of hang in there, and you'll be seeing a lot of me. Go ahead and follow me on Instagram, Facebook, if you want to chat with me and get kind of more live feed of stuff. My Discord in the description below is kind of where I've funneled all of my social media stuff, because going to all the different platforms got to be a bit too much for me. So anyway, friends, thank you so much for hanging out, and I will catch you next time. Happy wargaming, dudes.